Hi guys, welcome to another video of our API automation tutorial series. In this video, I'm going to discuss with you one of the very important topic in API automation, that is nothing but a POJO class. So in this video, I'm going to discuss with you what is POJO, and what is the importance of POJO class, and what is serialization and deserialization. These are very important topic, very important. You can see questions for your interview case. Okay, so we'll be talking onto this into this topic in this today's class. And in our previous video, we have already learned what is API, how to use API in your Postman to hit the request and response, to verify the response, how to use REST assured for API automation, how to use GET and post calls, what is body authentication. These are the things that we have already seen. Also, we have seen that what how to verify the response by using JSON path, right? So these are the things that we have seen. Now in this video, we'll be talking about more about the body part. This body part is very important, guys, because this body part is going to have the JSON data. That is a data part of your JSON, ultimate JSON data that you'll be passing for your test case. That is nothing but a body, right? See, this body is now, most of the cases JSON data, the JSON data is going to be used for most of the cases, and this JSON data is not going to be a very simple kind of JSON data. So for what we have used, if I go to my previous test cases that we have did, so here you can see that we have already used one JSON. Okay, so this is my one of the post call, right? This is the post call, and in this post call we have used one body that is a JSON payload that is only having one key and value pairs, right? But in your real case scenarios, there you may not have only one key and value pairs, or two or three or four key and value pairs. In your real case scenario, you will be having more than 50, 60, or 100 number of key and value pairs. Sometimes it is 10, 20, 30, or sometimes it cross 100 number of key and value pairs also. So how to handle those kind of things? Because by using that approach, by using this approach, if you are writing 10 or 100 number of key and value pairs, that is become very uh, tough, right? There is very, your code is become very hazy to understand, right? So definitely this way we cannot go ahead. So what all the ways to pass my JSON data to a body, right? The question come, right? So what are the ways to you can pass your JSON data to your JSON body, right? So if you go this okay, what are the ways? I'll show you the ways. What are the ways we can follow, right? So here you can see I have mentioned there are mainly three ways you can pass your JSON data into your API calls, right? The first and very first way, that the approach that you can see, that is nothing but a string data. What is the string data? You just have a string data, very simple cases. That is what we have seen in this particular example. Here we have created a string variable, and inside of the string variable we are having a string data in a key and value pair format, and we are giving a format as a JSON format, right? But we are taking it as a string data input only. So this is one of the approach. By using this approach we can pass my JSON data, right? But this is when it is useful, when your number of key and value pair is very small JSON data. Then in that case this is going to be useful. But when your discuss data is very long, very big number of key and value pairs, in that case this kind of approach is very non, you can say, recommended. You cannot use those kind of approach. So what is the other approaches that we can go ahead? There is another approach that we can use a file object. File object, in the sense, here what you have to do, you will be keeping your JSON data into a file, right? You will be storing data into a JSON file or any simple JSON file, and you will be passing that file object into your body. That is another approach. I'll show you into when we will be seeing into practical example. Another type of, another way, or you can say another approach, is nothing but using the POJO class. That is the main topic of our today's class. But before of that, we have to understand that other ways or other approaches also, right? Because every time you may not use this POJO approach, or every time you may not use this pass file object, or every time may not use string data. There are very use cases. Sometimes you have to go ahead with the string type of data, sometimes you'll be going with the file type object, and sometimes you'll be going with the POJO class object. So when we should go with the file type object, when the large number of JSON data is there and your data is not going to be changed, your JSON data input key and value pairs are fixed, in that case that is always okay to go ahead with the file approach. Okay, now another thing is, when your data is also in a large number and the data is going to be dynamic, right? So in that case you'll be using the POJO class approach, because this data now you'll be setting dynamically. So this is another approach. So let's first see this next approach, second approach, because approach we have already seen out in our previous video. If you already not gone through, I'll just request you go to my previous videos, so you'll be get clarified with this approach. But in this video, we'll be focusing on to the next two part, which is nothing but by using the file and by using the POJO class. So in this video, I'll be showing one of the API. Let's say I'm going to my postman. Let's check another video. Sorry. So here you can see we have one API, post API. This is my post API. In this post API, I have few things. I have set here header as a content type as a application slash JSON, and I have a body. This body having two parameter only, name and key. And here I have it. This is my endpoint URL, right? So if I hit this request, you can see I'll be getting a response. My response code is 201, and this is the body that I am getting. So this same thing I am going to do from the code, right? So if I go to my code and let's say I'm getting a file with the JSON, let's say I'm getting a response. So this is inside the test. I have one JSON folder, sorry, Java folder, and I'll be creating another directory that is called as a resources. Okay, I'll be taking this one and I'll get one file over here. Let's say I'll say get user dot json. Okay, so I have created a user and I'll be just copying this particular json data and I'll paste it over here. So that's it. So this is my you can see json file is got created, and this file I have the key and value here. Is a better, let's say I'm changing the name to Kelvin, and sales manager, I'll say sales executive. Okay, so this is my json data. Now let's go to create so this is my class file. I'll create a new class over here. So in rest API, let's say I'm going to create a new class. So say create user. Okay, so in this create user, let's say rename it to create user test effector. I'll say rename create user test. Okay, instead of this I'll be taking one test method. Let's say add the test, and inside I'll say public void create user file approach. Okay, you can say by file. Okay, create user by file. So what you have to do, what you can do over here actually, you will first create a take a string path of the file. So I'll say file path is equals system dot get property. Inside of this I'll first get the project directory. So what it does return to me, the system dot get property, it does not, it's nothing but it is returning me the path of the project, right, where it is located into my computer. So it is returning me this path. So after that I have to go to the my directory. So it is there inside of src, and inside of src there is test directory, and after that I have these resources. So I'll say resources, and after that the file name, right? The file name is nothing but create user dot json. So this is the path, complete path of this file. Now I have to create an object of this file. So I'll say I'll create a file object. Let's say new file, and here I will pass in the file path. So that's it, I got the path of the file. Now what you have to do actually, you have to so what you can do now, let's get a call, get a call resociate call. So I'll say resociate dot given. After that, let's see, I'll say base URI. You can set the base URI from your you can see postman. I have the base URI. So let me copy this base URI. So this is my base URI. I'll copy it and I'll paste it over here. So this is base URI. After that I have to set the header, right? So there you can see I have set the header and I've set the content type. So similar content type I can set over here also. So let's say content type, I'll say content type dot json, right? After that what I need to set, I need to set the body. So instead of the body, what I need to pass over here actually, the file object reference I've created, that file object reference you can just directly pass it over here. And after that we have to send a post call. So in post call we have to pass this API endpoint. So this API endpoint will be passing over here, and that's it. We are done with the API call. So we'll be getting a response. Let's store it into an response type of object reference, and we can now, we are done with this. So we'll say response dot status code, and then we can print the status response also, right? Response dot, let's say get body, and then dot pretty print. So that's done with the push call. So let's run this code and let's see what happens. For the same response, that name we have passed, here you can see in this particular file we passed the pt kelvin. So the same response we are getting over here also, right? So the job role also, and apart from this we are getting two extra parameters, id and created date, right? So the response that we are getting there in the postman tool, we are getting the same response there uh, in our api call by using rest assured, right? So this is another approach, guys. Now how to validate those that you have already seen in our previous video, that how to validate, that is your job, guys. So that you can verify that we got the name as a petty kelvin, or job role is whatever the job role we have passing there from the file that is coming to the response, that you can do by using json path, right? I'm not going to do those things for now. I'll be moving to our next topic. This is one of the approach, guys. So what you have to do actually, you just create an object of the file, that where the json file you have created. So that json file object you created, this is my file reference, and in the body you can just pass this file reference. That's all, right? You do not have to create this particular structure that you can see. This structure itself is looking very bad, right? If you have more number of keys, then you can understand how the structure would look like. So we should not use this approach, but it's always okay to, if you have a very minimum number of key and value pairs, let's say two or three or five, max five, so that is always okay. But if you have more number of key and value pairs, then you should not use this approach. Then this approach is going to be very helpful, because here you are not going to create any is key and value pairs details, right? So this is one of the approach. Another approach, which is the main topic of our today's video, that is nothing but a POJO approach. So what we have to do, so this is POJO class. Here what it does see, it says that you have to create a class for each and every your json file, okay? So my json file is nothing but looks like this. So if you are creating a class, you have to use this, this is the key, and you have to create a variable with this name, okay? So let's create a class. The POJO class is nothing but it is just similar to your normal class, which is you'll be having the variables, okay, and variables, and it some methods will be there. So just quickly create one class. I'll say create user request. Okay, so this is one of the class that I have created. Inside of this class, I'll be having private variables, private string, and the type of the variable. Here the this key this key is a having value as a string type data, right? So I have to create an key. I have to create a variable with this type of data that is going to hold. So type of data is string, so that's why I have taken a string. And what is the name of the variable? It should be name, right? Similar way, I have to create another key, and that is nothing but job, and the type of the key would be definitely string, because it is holding a string type of data. Now what I'll do, and private, I'll say string, I'll say job. So there are two variables that I have created. And one of the more important thing is, guys, you have to remember that if you are creating a POJO class or getter and setter, you have to be always use the private for the variables, private key, right? uh, so this is how you are going to declare the variables there into your class. And after that there is a job. You have to create two different methods for each and every variable. So for name you'll be having two methods, for job also you'll be having two methods. And those method will be your one method will be your setter method, which will set the value of this particular variables. And another method is going to be your getter method, which is going to get the value of this particular variable. Now it's your choice. You can create the methods by manually, like public, you can see public void set name. You can pass the, you can set the name, and you can ask for what is the name, okay? And you can see this dot name is equal to name, right? So this way you can create another method. We need to create, let's say, public string and get name, right? So here you can see that you can just return the name, right? So this is how you can get a setter and getter for each and every variable. For now, I have created for name. So similarly, I have to create for job also. So for job, you'll be creating public void set job, and after that, you have to see that string job, and you'll be setting the job. Similarly, to get the job, you will be creating another method, public string set get job, right? So and you'll be returning the job. But but this is okay if you have very less number of variables. But what if you have more than 10 variables, 20 variables? So you'll be creating each and every method by yourself? No, there is a shortcut how you can do it. I'll show it to you. Let's say you have added all the variable that you have to create into this particular POJO class. What you have to do is you just right click onto it, and you can see there is one option is as a generate, right? You click on it, you can see you will get it on option getter and setter. Just click on it, it will create, it will ask for the, it will show you here the list of variables you have there in your class. So yeah, I have two variables. If you select two, all the variables you have to select over here, which for which variable you want to create getter and setter. So I want to get getter and setter for these two variables, so I've selected two variable, and you just say okay. Once you say okay, you can see it is created four methods for me, right? One for each: get name, set name, get job, set job. So if you have 10 number of variable, 20 number of variables, so this approach is going to be helpful for you. Now that's all from this POJO class creation, and nothing there is into the POJO class creation. That's all about the POJO class. So I have created this POJO class. Now how to use it? So let's see. I am creating one another test case. So what we can do actually, let's say I'm just copying it for faster implementation. I'll copy this particular test case. I'll just rename those. So let's say by POJO, right? Let's say POJO. And here I don't need this file approach. What I have to do actually, I have to create an object of this particular class that I created. So this is my class. I have to create an object reference of this particular class, and I'll say new class. Okay, and let's import this class. It is asking me to import, so let's import it. So I have to import it. So that's all that I have to do. And what I have to do now, you can see this, I have created an object of this particular class, but that value of this particular variables is not yet set. So you have to set this value from your test case. So let's say I'm setting the value, let's say set name, I'm setting the name as Saddam Hussein. Okay, similarly you can set another parameter value. So I'll say set, and job, I'll say, let's say uh, Java tutor, right? So that's all. I have done with the setting the value of these particular variables. Now we have set the value of these variables. What you can do, you can use this particular object reference and pass it into this body. That's all. So you have passed this the object that reference you have created, and you have passed into the body, and nothing to change for the other things. Okay, so that's all about this about the POJO. Now let's see if I run this particular test case. Here you can see that we have got one exception, illegal state exception. What does it say? Let's check it. It says that cannot serialize object because no JSON serializer found in class path, right? So what does that mean? Here couple of terms here is seeing that serialize, right? That is one of the term that very important. I'll discuss with this keyword what is serialize or what is serialization. That is something is being asked into the interview. So for now, let's resolve this issue that we are getting. It is saying that in your class path it is not able to see JSON serializer, right? Not found. So it is say that please put JSON, right? Data bind. It is asking me to have JSON into my class path. That means I have to add this into my form dependency, JSON dependency into my form. So let's first get an JSON dependency. So I'll go to Maven repository. So if I go to Maven repository and search for JSON, you can see I getting the option JSON data bind and get the latest one. I copy this dependency and go to my form.xml file. Here I have to add the dependency. So I've added. So let's get it downloaded. So download is completed, right? So I have added this JSON data bind. This is the library I have added into my project. Now let's try to run this once again. Perfect. So you can see now we have got the response, whatever data we have passed from the JSON, right? This is the something how we are passing. So we have created class create user request, that is nothing but my our POJO class, and and we have shared the value. What is the value that you want to pass? And we are passing that POJO object class object reference into body. That is something that we have to do. Now we can see we are getting the same response again. Now moving to another point, guys. Now see here you can see that we have got the response, right? And for validation, if you say let's say we have already seen that we can validate the data by using JSON API, right? Sorry, by using the JSON path. But there is another use of this another use of POJO class to validate the response that you are getting from your API calls. how to use or how to validate that. So what you can do actually, for that case, that JSON response that you're getting into your API call, you have to what you have to do, you have to create a class with this similar variables. So you'll be class, your POJO class will be having these four number of variables, whatever the keys that you are getting into your POJO, right? So let's quickly create another POJO class. So let's see, I'm going to here, I create another create user. Let's say it is my response. So in this case, guys, in our request POJO class, there we have only two parameters, but in our response we'll be having four parameters, four variables. So if some case your request and response both having the same number of and same key and value, same key value pairs, so in that case you can use single POJO class. That is going to work for both. But here we have four different other keys also. So for that reason, I have to create a different POJO class. So here, what I'll do, I have name and job. These two are already there. So I can just copy it from here and paste it, and I'll paste another also. So I just change the name. So this is my ID, and another one is created at. So I'll just add those. Okay. Now remember one thing, guys. Whatever the key parameter name that you are getting with the case sensitiveness, you cannot change the value of the parameters. Okay. Whatever you are getting there in the response, JSON response, you have to use the same key and with the same you can say same case sensitiveness. Don't change this. Okay. Once you have done with the adding all these variables, now it is now your job to create a getter and setter. Now you see that we have seen that option, right? There is another approach how you can create getter and setter is you can go to this code here in this menu bar. Here you can see code option is there, and inside of this code option you can see this generate option is there. Click on this generate option, you can see go getter and setter. It will show you all the variables. So I'll select all the variables and I'll say okay. Now my POJO class is ready. All the variables, all the classes, methods it has already created. So your job, you have to do nothing here. So now how to validate this response that we have received. So what we can do actually here. So what we can do, let's say I want to validate my response, right? So what you can see, so I'll say response dot get body, and after that we can see as, and inside of this as I have to use the class name that I have created for response, right? So this is my response class. So this one is my response class name. So this response class I have to pass there. So copy this response class name with that POJO class name and pass it over here and say dot class. Okay. So we get body and dot class. Okay. So I have to import this. Okay. Now it is fine. We can now store this into a object type. Okay. It is going to return you the class format. Okay. So this is my class, and let's say uh, get response is equal to this. So I can store this into a particular this class type of object reference. Okay. Now once you have stored, you can now verify. Okay. So how to verify? You can see assert dot, you can say assert dot asset equal I'll be using. So in expected, I'll be passing that I am expecting to have this particular variable. Instead of this, I'll pass this, and after that I can see create user response dot get name. You can see we are getting all these variables, right? Whatever the in the response we are getting. So we can see get name. So if you say get name, it will verify if the name is properly coming or not. So if I run it, so you can see our test got passed success. That means there is no issue. If I change my data, let's say Saddam Hussein 1, and just to show you that okay, this assertion is working fine or not. Now you can see the test got failed, right? And if you check the result, you can see that expected is Saddam Hussein 1 and actually Saddam Hussein. So now you can see that assertion is working, right? So this is another approach, guys. Another use of POJO. So this is another use of POJO that you can verify the response. In that case, we are not using the JSON path, right? So by using this approach also, we can verify the response. Okay. So this is another approach. Now here we talked about two things, guys. Here you can see we have added the data into my object. and that is nothing but we have created a class object, that is a POJO class object, and we have added the data, right? And that POJO class object we are passing into our body, right? So here one thing you can understand, that this is my type of object, that is nothing but Java object, right? But this body is always use the, it do not when the API call is happen, then it is actually what actually do, this class object, it converts your class object to JSON response, JSON type of data. Okay, so this conversion, I mean, so when you are this class or reference you are passing into your JSON into your body, so what happen actually, your class object is going to be class object reference is going to convert your from class object to JSON type data. Okay, your class object, your object reference is going to convert into JSON type of data. Okay, so this kind of conversion is nothing but your serialization. Okay, this kind of conversion is nothing but called as serialization. Now you already know that if you get the response, right, this response dot get body, this body is having, we receive the response as a JSON structure, right? And that JSON structure we are converting into an object, right? This is my object, and by using this object we are getting this particular this is my object reference, and from this object reference we are calling this method when getting the value, right? So but in API call we are always getting the JSON data, right? That JSON data now transferred to my object reference Java object. Now the transfer is JSON to object Java object. Now this transfer happened JSON to Java object. Two things, guys. When you are sending your request, then what happen actually, you are actually transforming your Java object, you're transferring your Java object to JSON, and when you have the response, you are transforming your JSON data into your Java object. This Java object here you can see, we this is the Java object, right? Because we are creating an object, so this is object, this object is having the data of the body, right? This body we are receiving from API call, we are receiving, always receiving a JSON format that we already know. So that JSON format data is transferred or is converted to a Java object. This is nothing but called as deserialization, guys. This is nothing but called as a deserialization. Okay, and opposite one, when we are transforming JSON, sorry, Java type of object to a JSON type of data, that is nothing but called as a serialization. Okay, this is as simple as it is, serialization. So now I think both the terms is clear to you guys. What is serialization and what is deserialization? What is serialization? Into your Java class object, you are converting it into your JSON type of data. That is nothing but a serialization. And when you are doing the opposite one, that means we have a data into a, this data is nothing but into a JSON type of data, right? That JSON type of data we are converting into Java class object reference. That is nothing but called as a deserialization. Hope this concept is clear to you guys. Okay, with this, we are all done, guys. Let's see what all we are missing. If there's anything missing that I will discuss on this. Let's see. There is a document I have created for you. What is the full form of POJO? It is nothing but plain object Java, plain old Java objects, and these are the properties. And these are the, you can say, basic, you can say, identification or what basic requirements that a POJO class should have. You can see it should have a it is a normal class, whatever normal class you have, and should not extend any or implements any class or interfaces, right? Another thing is POJO class is used to represent data, and another thing is it contains a default constructor, means you cannot create your own. You should not have any other constructor, right? What is the default constructor a class have? Or it should be same for your POJO classes, and also with the private variables and public method, getter and setter method, right? These are the method it should have. And the next line, it is saying that what is the use of the setter method and what is the use of the getter method it is describing. Now here you can see the two terms, serialization and deserialization, that is also I have discussed. Serialization is a process of converting your a class object to a JSON data or byte stream, you can say. That is nothing but your serialization. And opposite one, from byte stream or JSON string or byte stream, you are converting to a class object, that is nothing but a deserialization. Hope this concept is clear to you guys. Let me know in comment section if you have any doubt, any questions on this. If you are not able to understand on, let me know.